Here's the truth about unconditional offers and why buyers need to tell the whole story. In real estate, there's a saying, buyers are liars. Of course, not all buyers lie, but many do hold back critical information. And when they do, their agents can't protect them. Here's a real example of that. A Burlington seller thought their home was sold for $1.35 million until the buyer backed out. The buyer had signed an unconditional offer, meaning there were no conditions to protect them if something went wrong. But when the closing date arrived, they didn't have the money. They asked for an extension, first 3 months, then 45 days, and guess what? The sellers refused. With no deal, the sellers were forced to relist the property, and by then, the market had shifted, and the home eventually sold for $250,000 less than the original price. The buyer later claimed they couldn't access inherited money from Afghanistan, and that a failed sale of another property left them without funds to close. They argued the contract should be voided under force majeure, a clause that applies to unforeseeable events like natural disasters or war. But the purchase agreement didn't include a force majeure clause. And the court ruled that financial struggles don't qualify. The judge found the buyer fully responsible, ordering them to pay $280,739 in damages to cover the lost value of the resale and the additional expenses. So did the buyer's agent fail, or did the buyer hide the truth? Where was the buyer's agent in all of this? Well, it would be easy to blame the agent, but the likelihood is they did ask the right questions, like, do you have the money readily available? Or is your financing confirmed? Or even, do we need to include conditions to protect you? But if the buyer wasn't honest about their financial situation, there was no way for their agent to protect them. It happens more often than people think. Buyers withhold details, whether out of fear, optimism, or the belief that they'll figure it out later. But in real estate, there's no room for half-truths. A deal is a deal. Backing out of a firm contract can have massive financial consequences. If buyers aren't fully transparent, they risk losing more than just the home. They risk legal action, damages, and a financial mess that could last for years. If you're making an offer, especially an unconditional one, be honest with your agent, because once the deal is firm, there is no turning back.